Oh, it's just Jord.
Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Little Nightmares theory video, and today I wanted to talk to you about Dr. No and hopefully shed some light on the character and maybe theorize about his intentions. So be aware that we are going to go off a very little amount of evidence, seeing as there's not much known about Dr. No or who or what he is. But this is going to be me trying to piece together this character, so it will be up to you if you choose to agree with the theory or disagree, but either one is fine. But obviously, we must talk about the spoilers of the video first. Like most of my videos, I will be taking information from all angles of Little Nightmares, which includes the comics, the base game and the DLC. So be warned, I will be looking into everything in detail in this video, and I will also be mentioning a few other games as well as shows. And the show is called, or the movie is The City of the Lost Children, and the other game mentioned is TALAJIC's other title, Static. Now with that out the way, let's talk about Dr. No. So what do we know about Dr. No? Well, all we know is that Dr. No belongs in the Little Nightmares universe, and he has something to do with them more, as somewhat functions or responsibility. We have no idea, and we're all just guessing at this point, but I have some information that might change this. So for this video, I'm going to be revisiting a theory that I did a while back but never ever released. And I can assure you, this is a common thing I like to do. A lot of them I have made and they will just never see the light of day, just because I'm not too happy with them. But in one video, or one theory that never got released, I explain about the inspiration that Tarzia found and incorporated into Little Nightmares. When releasing the game, they did a bit of press for the game, and a website did generally ask them, and asked the lead designer of Little Nightmares, now forgive me how I pronounce this, Dennis TALAJIC, sorry about the second name, I totally butcher it as per usual, but they asked him where the main inspiration from the game came from. And while he had mentioned there were many big places, a big focus was on the movie called The City of the Lost Children. Now I can pretty much guess that you wouldn't know of this movie, as it's quite old. I didn't actually know either till I was doing the research of the theory, but let me explain it to you briefly. So a quick summary of the movie can be said like this. Crank has lost his ability for dreaming, and is attempting to fight death by stealing the dreams of children. Crank's henchman snatches a 5-year-old Dendry to subject him to horrific dream retrieval processes. The boy's father, one, the hulking strongman of the travelling circus, and his precious 9-year-old friend, Mieti, join forces to defeat Crank's minions and save Denry. With this movie, that brief explanation doesn't go into very much detail, but we can see some similarities in the movie and in Little Nightmares. I'll just show you a few examples that I know, so I prove that I'm not crazy. Let's start with Les Clones, or in English, the clones. The clones to me represent the idea of the gnomes, as they are made by Crank, and all of the clones look the same as they do on Little Nightmares like the gnomes. The clones also are identical, as we know the gnomes have no differential features and they all look pretty much the same. For our next character, it's called the Octopus, or known in the film as Les Prueba. I'm sorry. And this is the name given to the two twin sisters that are attached with their body together. Now the octopus reminds me a lot of the chefs. This being because one, they're basically paired together, as in there is two chefs and there is two of the octopus characters in the game and in the movie. And how around the moor in the kitchen level they are often portrayed as connected with paintings and such. We also see in the film that the octopus are shot cooking in certain scenes, which once again would fit in with our inspiration class. And not to mention that these octopus characters are actually attached from their feet, if I remember rightly. Now this is an interesting one. Crank. So this is the main enemy of the movie, and Crank is the main man of the operation to stealing their own dreams, and he will take children from the city and transport them via boat to his place of work, where there he will steal the dreams of the children, like we said, just He does this because Crank wants to slow his own aging process down. Now, as we don't know much about Dr. No, if we were going to follow the trend, as we've seen in this video, we would assume that Dr. No follows the same type of deal, and maybe the lady and the ferryman and all the occupants of the moor are actually working for Dr. No. There is also something else that I wanted to bring up. Not only did the City of the Lost Children have a movie, there was also a video game adaptation, and in this adaptation there are many similarities that we see in the game and in Little Nightmares. In the game we find a lot of simpler features, such as following a young girl alone in the game while she figures out puzzles and etc. And some of the items that the girl interacts with, like a lighter and other things that correlate to the sea, or any items that can be found around it. Also, not to mention the girl in the video game, her appearance, as well as the atmosphere that the game sets. If you were to go and watch a video of that, you'd feel like you'd have deja vu from playing Little Nightmares to looking at that game. While the art style is completely different, the atmosphere, like I said, is the same. Now, with that being said, I wanted to mention more about Tarzia and how they like to incorporate story and characters. For example, take the game Static. If you own a PlayStation with VR, you will be somewhat familiar with the game, and if you don't own it, it's another game that Tarzia made independently on PlayStation. In Static, the main person that you encounter and speak to a lot is Dr. InGen. Now, why do I bring him up, you ask? Well, there are a few reasons for this. If you take a look at the design of the character, you will notice the similarities between Dr. No and Dr. InGen. First one being that Dr. InGen's face is totally blurred out, and you have no way of finding out any details within his face or any facial features. The other similarity is the appearance. Now, I don't mean the body stance or the build, I mean the apparel of Dr. InGen. Dr. No and Dr. InGen share the same type of clothes, the same overcoat or the same lab coat. They both wear red ties. Strange, isn't it? How there are a lot of correlations between the two sides of the games, and from the inspiration, and not to mention some of the things that Dr. InGen mentions in game, which feels like somewhat of a sort of Little Nightmares nod, or it could be proof that they are in the same sort of universe. I mean, it's far-fetched, but it actually is possible. When Dr. InGen starts speaking, you become somewhat conscious and come out of this in a watertight coma consciousness. Then, when you're doing that, you begin to hear his conversation, which goes a little something like this.
On that particular raincoat, and largely immaterial.
And if you miss that, he basically says, and that particular raincoat had partly different material. So, what is the point in me telling you all this? Well, in my mind, if I were to think about it logically, I do not think we are going to see Dr. No until the TV show maybe. So we have to think of him as a force greater, and with a business higher than Little Nightmares itself or the moor. I mean, of course he's in the universe, but I think he plays a much bigger role. And like the North Wind, I think those roles are so particularly higher that they won't be elaborated into maybe a further Little Nightmares DLC or the second game or the TV show. But for now, all I think we can do is take from the inspiration and the correlation from the other games and other areas that Tarzia have took from. And I think if we were able to take a guess, that Dr. No is going to be responsible for a lot of the big things in this universe. Heck, I would blame that even the reason for the troubles outside of the moor could well be that Doctor's fault, as well as inside the moor. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd really like to hear some of your comments on this one. I feel like this one is a very out-the-box type of theory, and I'd like to get your opinion on it. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, please hit like, and if you didn't like the video, hit that dislike button. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support the channel further, please hit that subscribe button with the bells on, and if you do subscribe, then you'll be up to date with the latest theories. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the best. Good night, good morning, good day, wherever you are in the world. I wish you the best, and I'll see you all in the next theory video.